My name is Sasha Crespi, and this is a valuable contribution to a meaningful conversation. Today we're going to be talking about the unspoken origins of magic. Where does magic come from? This may seem like an impossible question to answer, but history does leave clues, and I'm going to be giving you several resources for you to look deeper into and for you to understand where I'm coming from with this information. If you don't know me, I'm a professional magician. I have been performing for 17 years. I'm also interested in several forms of esoteric magic, including but not limited to Zoroastrian magic, alchemy, Hermetic philosophy, and more. Over the years, I've had the privilege to perform at the Olympic Games, perform for the Queen of England, travel to Nepal and Cambodia to work with the shamans, and more. And I am part of a magic school in Las Vegas named McBride's Magic and Mystery School, which has heavily influenced some of the thoughts that I'm going to share with you. Great. Let's talk about magic. What is magic? Magic, by design, by definition, cannot be boxed. But I think we can have some clues about what it's about. To my understanding, magic is about power. The magician, whether they're performing card tricks or true ritual esoteric magic, is interested in power, and having power over the elements, or hopefully with the elements, and having power over the coins and the cards. The central metaphor of magic is transformation and change. Trick magicians will take a coin, place it in their hand, and make it disappear. Or take a $1 bill and change it into a $100 bill. That's transformation. And what we are all trying to do when we do our magical spells and rituals is change, is transform. Some people may think that deception is limited to the human world, only humans deceive, but nature has plenty of clues that are kind of unmistakable for the use of deception. For example, a bird, when faced with a predator, may limp or make it seem like it's in pain or vulnerable, so that the predator would follow the bird away from the nest, and then the bird would fly away as soon as the children or the chicks were free. Have you ever seen an animal play dead? That's a form of deception. And I'd like to thank David Abram for this distinction. He's a cultural ecologist that wrote a beautiful book named The Spell of the Sensuous that details his trips to Bali and more, trading secrets with the shamans. Let's talk about these distinctions between these magic tricks and these real forms of magic, whether that's South American shamanism or Balian shamanism or Aleister Crowley type magic. There's a really interesting book that is part of the curriculum in the magic school I attend. And the book is called The Death and Resurrection Show by Rogan P. Taylor. And the premise of the book is it's retracing the evolution of the shaman, from shaman to showman to superstar. And Rogan P. Taylor's main idea, condensed, is that the showmen of today, whether it's the David Bowies and the Michael Jacksons or the David Copperfields, evolved from the witch doctors. And witch doctors were traveling shamans who would perform sort of plays, theatrical type plays that had much deeper implications. They had to do with healing. And these shamans would layer these experiences, these transformative healing experiences, with subtle forms of deception. Let me give you an example. The witch doctor would use real techniques, whether it was the breath or tobacco, to remove such ailments, but would use 1% of deception to convince your mind of the power of the surgery. For example, they may hide a worm, a live worm, in their cheek, and after having done the real shamanic work, would spit out the worm. And this would be a symbol of whatever they had removed. You see, the work, the shamanic work, the spiritual work may have been real, but they would layer it with a subtle amount of deception to apparently aid in the healing process. Because if you have no context to understand what is happening, especially this shamanic work, to see something physical, something tangible come through would aid in the healing due to what we now call the placebo effect. So this is part of Rogan P. Taylor's argument that the use of deception was evolved from shamans who would use it to help in these witch doctor ceremonies. This leads us to an interesting point. And the point is that medicine and magic were once the same thing or coexisted as this sort of witch doctor or shamanic work. And the irony, as my teacher's teacher, Eugene Berger, would say, most magicians nowadays do not believe in magic. But would you go to a doctor that doesn't believe in medicine? Just a thought. But let's go deeper into the origins of magic, because in 2021, after much solo study within the world of magic, tricks, and beyond, I finally met my mentor named Jeff McBride, and he opened the school, this mystery school in Las Vegas called McBride's Magic and Mystery School. And when I met Jeff, he told me that it was likely that magic in all its forms started around the fire. And at first, I thought this was a biased thought because Jeff, my mentor, who I deeply adore, is fond of these alchemical fire circles. But Jeff's idea went deeper. What he, I think, meant when he told me is that the origins of magic lay around the fire because that's where humans gathered together to share stories, to cook food, and to engage in these rituals. But it goes deeper than that. Once again, I'm indebted to Jeff McBride, my teacher, for the following idea. It is likely that the original act of magic was the summoning of a fire, because if you don't know how to make a fire, then you see a stranger grab sticks together, the original magic wand, rub them together, blow, and summon a fire. This is a powerful symbol, a powerful act of magic, because the fire not only represents light and heat, life-sustaining things, but also allowed us to cook food and much, much more. Fire, like the sun, is very, very hard or impossible to control, or so we thought. And a meaningful step in our human evolution was when we tamed fire, which is why legends like Prometheus are so powerful, stealing fire. The world of etymology, which is kind of about retracing the root of words, holds real clues to the roots of magic. The word magic can be traced back to ancient Persia, and it comes from what we now call the Magi, or in current Farsi, Moran, who are priests who follow the teachings of Zarathustra. My travels to Iran, specifically to the town of Yazd, showed me that the roots of magic really do lie around the fire. So let's get into that. The Persians, even before Zarathustra, spoke about Ahura Mazda. And Ahura Mazda, which loosely translates as the Lord of Wisdom, was symbolized with the undying fire, a fire that never dies out. It remains alive. Like the flame of consciousness, it remains burning. It's very delicate, and it requires tending to. The Magi, most of their spiritual practice, most of their devotional practice, to keep the undying fire alive. This particular fire is said to have traveled across Iran and have not gone out for thousands of years. Whether you believe that or not, that's your choice. But I know that the Mohan are very devoted to keeping this fire alive. If you are interested in this, you can read the book Origins of Magick, which talks about Persian magic. So coming back to my mentor, Jeff McBride, he told me that the origins of magic likely lay around the fire. And my experience in Iran with the Magi showed this to be true. Finally, I'd like to share one more thought. Magic is largely about control. And one of the deep lessons that the magician archetype needs to learn is that no matter how much they try, they cannot really control reality. In the same way that the warrior needs to understand that no matter how much they fight, their war cannot bring peace. Thank you for listening. The resources will be linked once again in the description. I hope this has been a meaningful contribution to an important conversation. My name is Sasha Crespi. Follow for more.